Hello everyone, welcome to another video. Now in today's video we're going to be having a look at this steering wheel here. This is the Balkn Rev3Pro. Now I didn't ever think that I would get my hands on this steering wheel, not because it's unattainable or too expensive, just because I thought I would never actually buy one. And the reason for that is there's not much information out there. It's made by a Twitch streamer and I always thought, well, it can't be that good. But as you can tell by the thumbnail, sometimes things just work. Now, before we get into the video, the necessary disclaimer. Balkn sent me this steering wheel for free, so I didn't pay for it. Although they don't get to see this video before it's published, and they've got absolutely no input in what I say. And there's no affiliate links, no kickbacks to me, nothing like that. I'm just going to give you my opinions as a semi-serious sim racer. So, I'll show you the wheel first of all. That's what you want to see, isn't it? So it's on my Asetek Invicta wheelbase right now. This is the steering wheel. Quite minimalist, you would say. There's not really a lot going on. We've got 5 buttons on either side. We've got 2 7-way funky switches. And then we've got 2 encoders on the top there. 2 push encoders as well on the top. And on the back, no fancy dual clutches. We've just got your paddles. Now, this is the more expensive version of the steering wheels. The Rev3Pro, which is this one, and the Rev3. The only difference is between the two, they've both got a 5mm carbon fiber front plate. The Rev3Pro has got printed buttons on the front, and on the back it's got an anodized back plate and anodized shifters. The Rev3, which is much cheaper, has a 3D printed back plate and nylon printed shifters. Although Balkn does say there's absolutely zero compromise with regards to strength and rigidity using the 3D printed backplate. And I've no reason at all to disbelieve that. So let's have a look at the front. So we've got 5 buttons on either side, 2 7-way funky switches, 2 rotary encoders. Size-wise, it's absolutely perfect. It really is. This is probably one of the least expensive wheel rims I've tested, but ergonomically, genuinely one of the best. It feels absolutely perfect when driving. I really, really like it. Now, these buttons on the front with the labels on, these can actually be swapped around. You just need to undo some screws. You can actually swap all those printed buttons around to your heart's content, put them wherever you want. The Rev3 doesn't have any labels on the buttons, so they just come plain. And this isn't backlit. It's very, very much as you see there. Now, I've had the pleasure of owning and testing some really, really nice wheel rims. And this has got to be up there with my favourite wheel rims ever used. It really has. And I was really surprised at that. I didn't expect that at all. When Balkn reached out and said, do you want to try it? Absolutely. Absolutely. But I didn't think it was going to be this good. All the buttons feel really nice. I'm going to do some tests now. 1 second. I've turned off all the noise gates, etc. with the microphone, and hopefully you'll be able to hear these button presses. Now, I'll try and give you a listen. That's the button just on the top there. That's what it's all about, isn't it? Do some click tests. Now I've got some other wheel rims down here. So that's the Balkn. I've got the Asetek Forte. Much quieter. We've got the Grid MPX. And I've got the VRSPG. As a content creator, it's really important for me to have quiet paddles. Now, these aren't quiet, but they're not mega loud. I'll grab one more wheel rim, actually. Now, this is going to be the clickiest wheel rim that I've ever used. This is the Cube Controls Formula Sport. Listen, that. I really dislike dead loud paddles. And although this is loud, nowhere near as loud as the Cube Controls rim. So let's take it on track and talk about it a little bit more. Right, let's get out on track. What it's all about, isn't it? Wheels can look as pretty as they want, but if they don't feel right, then what's the point? And a bit of a spoiler, this one feels absolutely perfect. It really does. Feels unbelievable. Size-wise, it's just perfect for me. Absolutely perfect. Not only the diameter of the wheel rim, but the grips, they just feel right. You know, they just feel right. Ergonomically, it's one of the best wheels that I've ever used. It's also one of the most least expensive wheels that I've ever used as well. As I said at the start, sometimes things just work. You know, things just work. Things are just right. And Balkn's obviously got a few miles under his belt, sim racing, and you can tell. You know, he's put a lot of thought into this wheel, obviously. We'll talk about the buttons, or the button layout. So as you can see, there's buttons on the top and down the side, and there's 4 rotary encoders on here. So the top buttons there, you would use most frequently, or you would map to the most frequently used buttons. They're all within easy reach of my thumb, so I don't have to move my hand off the grip. And you've got these 2 buttons on the bottom there. You've got these rotary encoders. Well, these are 7-way funky switches. Ignore those tyre marks. Some other dude was on track there. It wasn't me, honestly. These are 7-way funky switches, so just with these 2 buttons alone, it's 14 functions. Just on these 2 buttons alone. 14 functions. So I've counted up, so unless my maths are wrong, with all of the functions on the encoders and shifters, 32 different functions. So you can map 32 things to what's on this wheel. And when you look at this wheel, you probably think there's not much going on with that. But 32 functions. I don't use anywhere near that on any simulator, ever. This has got absolutely plenty. So I have my pit limiter, engine ignition on here. That's mute chat. That's my delta. Brake bias on there. I have my black boxes on there. You can see I don't even have anything mapped to these encoders on here. A headlight flash. I've got nothing mapped really, and obviously my gear shifters. If you're on ACC or something like that where you want to change the wipers and headlights and rain light and all that kind of stuff, you can. And obviously you've got 4 rotary encoders there if you wanted to map ABS, TC, brake bias, that kind of stuff. There's plenty of buttons for you to map. I don't think you would need any more than this, to be honest. But it actually feels super, super nice. And because it's lightweight, my force feedback's not as high as it usually would be. So we're on 6.4 now on, let me have a look, see what that is in. So 52.8 Newton meters or 6.4. And obviously I'm running the Invicta wheelbase right now, which is 27 Newton meters, so I don't need it super high. But all the force feedback is super, super detailed with this wheel rim. The heavier the wheel rim, if you didn't know, the heavier the wheel rim, the force feedback sometimes gets a little bit diluted, a little bit not very clear. The lighter the wheel rim, more force feedback you have, or the more detail you have on the force feedback. And I found the force feedback when using this wheel rim to be absolutely superb. I really have. How Balkn can knock these out at that price, I'll never know. I really won't ever know, honestly. They're using it on the Invicta wheelbase with the Invicta quick release. Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Just goes to show that you don't need to spend megabucks to have something really, really good. Bravo, Balkn. So you probably won't be surprised to know that I'm a massive fan of this wheel rim. Now let's talk about pricing. Okay, so wheel rims are ridiculously expensive right now. So just go on the website. So for the Rev3Pro, it is 669 Canadian dollars. Now let me just do a quick conversion, because I think you can buy a house in Canada for about 40 quid, can't you? So 400 quid for the flagship model, but then you've got VAT to pay for when you enter into this country. That's 20%. So what's 20% of 400? So that's 80 quid ish. Another 80 quid on top of that, so that takes the price up to 480. Then you've got import duty. I've no idea what import duty would be. 100 quid, 580. Then you got shipping, which is about $50, 50 euros, something like that. So probably roughly around about 630 quid with VAT, import duty and shipping. That's good value. Yes, it doesn't have all the bells and whistles on, which the Grid MPX does, you know, with all its RGBs. This is one of my favourite ever wheels, the Grid MPX. But size-wise, it's pretty much identical. Looks very similar indeed, I think you'll agree. It just doesn't have as many features. But not everybody wants all of those features. That Grid MPX wheel, you're talking another 400 quid at least on top of this 600 quid for that. Is it worth it? I don't think it is. I'd probably rather save myself some money and buy this. Now, one of the things that is really important to me with the steering wheel is weight. Now, weight doesn't really matter in a sim rig. It's not a real car. It doesn't matter. Apart from with the steering wheel, the lighter the steering wheel, the more detailed and more responsive your force feedback is going to be. Now, I weighed all of these wheel rims earlier on, and I was quite surprised at the results. Although I knew the results before I actually weighed them, I could tell. So, the Grid MPX wheel rim with no QR, so there's no quick release on that, is 1,706 grams, so 1.7 kilos. The next one was the VRSPG, again with no quick release. That was 1,679 grams, so just under 1.7 kilos. The Asetek Forte with a quick release, so bear in mind, those two other wheel rims didn't have a quick release, so you're going to add a few hundred grams on top of that. So the Asetek Forte with a quick release, 1,641 grams. And the Balkn with the quick release, 1,534 grams light, which obviously translates to better force feedback. So these are obviously made to order. If you want one, give Balkn a shout. He's got his website, but it can be reachable on Twitter. I'll put his Twitter handle down below in the description as well as the website. But give him a shout. These are made to order. So let's summarize. Looks-wise, I think it looks really good. I think it looks really good. Nice and simple. Nothing too fancy. It is what it is. It's a steering wheel. Build quality is brilliant. So with the Grid MPX, it comes with like a little USB adapter that you attach to your rig and you plug your wheel in and out of that. This has got the same kind of thing. So you've got your connector there that you attach to your steering wheel. But then it comes with a little 3D printed doofer. I'll call it a doofer. And you attach that to your rig. And then this actually sits in there. Keeps things nice and tidy. Just little things like that make all the difference. Build quality, as I mentioned, really, really good. Absolutely no complaints at all. Performance, it performed brilliantly. Like brilliantly. Because it's so light, the force feedback was incredible. And value for money, well, we're going to be talking low 600, 620 quid when I've done the conversion. Roughly, I've no idea what the import duty would be, but including VAT, shipping, import duty, I think you're probably looking just north of £600, which I think is brilliant value. So I want to say a massive thank you to Balkn for sending me this wheel rim. He said I can keep this. He said I can do what I want with it. I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet. I've really no idea what I'm going to do with it yet. I might keep it because I really like it that much, or I might raffle it off for charity. Sell some tickets, $10 each, and the winner gets it and the money goes to charity. What do you reckon? But don't hold me to that because I actually really like it. So I'll leave links down below in the video description to Balkn's website, to his Twitter handle. Reach out to him, give him a shout. He's a really lovely guy. These are made to order. I would highly recommend it. And before getting the wheel, I never ever thought that I would say that because of the reasons I mentioned at the beginning. But like I've said before, sometimes things just work. This is a sim racing steering wheel that just works. It does the job. It does what you want it to do. And that's all we want as sim racers, isn't it? We want good, functional equipment. But as always, thanks for watching. Have a great week. See you later. Cheers.